Hi there, I'm Rabbitman. In this video, I'll train Follie to fight up to around level 400. You can fight through about 20 rounds in the Steel Pass mode's Disruption mission, where enemy levels increase. If you work hard, you can even defeat enemies up to around level 800 in round 27. Now, let's start by looking at the main topic, Follie's build. I'll give you 10 seconds, so take a screenshot first. Now, I'll explain the purpose and how to get the mods and Archon Shards used in this build. First, use the Helminth System to install Archon Shards and replace abilities. Please watch 2 videos for more details. This time, I'll use 2 Amber Shards and 3 Violet Shards. Since Follie's ability casting speed is slow, use Amber Shards to increase her casting speed. Then use the remaining 3 Violet Shards to increase the critical damage of melee weapons. Archon Shards aren't essential, but installing them will make Follie much stronger, so be sure to equip them. After using the Archon Shard, let's replace the ability. This time, let's replace the third ability with Mirages. By doing this, it should reduce damage with stability. Next, let's install mods. First, install the Dreamer's Bond, the very first mod you'll get to restore your energy and health. Then, for the extra slot, install Prime Sharefooted, which you can get after reaching milestones from the 400-day daily tribute. This mod allows you to reliably activate the first ability for sure, making Rolling Guard unnecessary. Next, be sure to get Adaptation from the Arbitration mission. This will slightly improve your survivability. For more on Arbitration, please check out my previous videos. After securing survivability, improve energy recovery. First, install Equilibrium available in tutorials. With this mod and the passive ability, you can restore energy from health orbs. Next, complete the main quest up to Whispers in the Walls and get the Energy Nexus from the enemies in the lab. With Dreamer's Bond, Equilibrium, and Energy Nexus, energy shouldn't be a problem. Next, let's improve the performance of abilities. First, buy Primed Continuity from Martyr to increase the duration of abilities. For more information on primed mods, please check out my previous videos. Then use Archon Flow to secure more energy. You can get this mod by completing the Veil Breaker quest and the special weekly mission. You might be able to secure more energy from its bonus effect. But if not, Primed Flow from Martyr is also an option. Next, let's get Narrow-Minded, Fleeting Experitus, and Blind Rage from the Demon's Vault. I explained how to get them in a previous video. Thanks to these 3 mods, ability durations and strengths are increased. Despite its reduced range, there is no issue, because it doesn't affect anything other than the force ability. Finally, use Arcane's Mode Augmented and Arcane Strike for the finish. Mode Augmented as acquired from Zariman and increase the strength of your abilities. You can earn Arcane Strike by capturing Hydro Wrist, dissolving Arcane at Lloyd's location, and acquiring it from Eidolon Arcane. This Arcane increases melee weapon attack speed and speed up the switching time to melee weapons. Both are optional, but you should use them if available. Now, Follie's build is complete. Next, let's take a look at the Enkaus build, which shows good synergy with Follie. I'll give you 10 seconds, so take a screenshot first. Now, let's see the build. First, use Shivering Contagion to make it easier to spread status effects. To get it, complete the main quest up to Whispers in the Walls and head to the laboratory. And by defeating the boss in the lab or the triangular enemies, you can get this mod. Next, install 2 galvanized mods available from the Arbitration mission. Thanks to these, firepower increases when you inflict status effects on enemies. For the extra slot, install Vigilante supplies available from bounty missions in cities. This will increase your critical damage just a little bit. The remaining mods are used to increase the element type and the status chance. Starting from the top, add Malignant Force, which deals toxic damage, and Ram Rounds, which deals cold damage. These two mods will cause viral damage. You can get Malignant Force by defeating Corrupted Bull of level 40 or higher in the Void. You can acquire Ram Rounds by completing spy missions on Saturnus, Ceres, Jupiter, Europa, and Lua, and stealing 3 data. Next, let's add the Flame element using the Thermite Rounds. You can get this in spy missions after Uranus. Next, let's get Magnetic Capacity in Hobania and Radiated Reload at the lab. These two mods add magnetic and radiation elements. Finally, place Primary Debilitate in the Arcane slot to finish up. This Arcane will make it easier to inflict a lot of status effects. Thanks to the mod, Enkaus has 4 combined elements: magnetic, radiation, viral, and corrosive, so it should be easier to utilize this Arcane. It inflicts multiple status effects on enemies and increases the firepower of melee weapon shown next. And this time, Follie is using this weapon, so you can also slow down enemies' speed with the secondary fire. It should be quite effective against enemies like Demolist. Now, the Enkaus build is complete. Next, let's look at the melee weapons. This time, I'll be using a sword and shield called Argo and Bell. You can exchange them for Patus Clumps gathered in the brewery. It has high critical chance and can throw a boomerang with a heavy melee attack. You can attack Demolist without getting close to it, so I decided to use it this time. A Gunblade might work too, but against Mania and Acolyte, it tends to be tough fight, so I decided to use this weapon instead. Now let's take a look at the weapon build. I'll give you 10 seconds, so take a screenshot. Now, let's review how to get mods and their functions. First one is Final Harbinger, the stance mod. With this stance mod, the cost of installing mods increases, making it more effective as a melee weapon. The fastest way to get it is to complete the Silver Grove quest. Then use Sunrise Abosik to summon and defeat the Spectre. For more, please watch my previous video. Next, install Sacrificial mods with sets. You can get them by completing the main quest, Sacrifice. You'll need Umber Forma to use the set, so don't forget to hunt for Nightwave and Steel Essence. If you have both, the weapon's critical chance becomes 100%. Next, let's install Condition Overload. The more status effects applied to enemies, the more it boosts the firepower of melee weapons. To get it, defeat the Infested on Cambion Drift, or Draker Butcher on Uranus. If you inflict multiple status effects on enemies with the primary weapon I mentioned earlier, this mod should boost its damage significantly. Next, let's install the elemental mods to increase base damage. You can get Northwind from various enemies, and buy Primed Fever Strike from Valkyrie. Next, let's improve the speed of melee weapon. I'll add Primed Fury, which you get at milestones, starting from the 200th day daily tribute. This will also speed up the switching speed to melee weapons. Since heavy melee attacks are used frequently this time, I'll use Amalgam Organ Shatter and Killing Blow to increase the speed of heavy melee attacks. You can get the Amalgam Organ Shatter from Jupiter's hidden boss, but if you don't have it, the basic Organ Shatter will be fine. You can get Killing Blow from the circuit, an enemy called Seeker. To finish up, let's install Truth Flame in the extra slot. You can buy it from Zorba. This increases the damage of heavy melee attacks when the Tennokai mark appears. If you defeat the enemy with a heavy melee attack at this point, the Tennokai mark will appear repeatedly. Otherwise, Follie will be affected by the flame status effect. However, you can remove it with the first ability, so you can negate the disadvantage. If you have one, you should try it. Once you have finished installing the mods, add the Arcane Melee Careen for melee weapons. This Arcane increases damage against frozen enemies. To get it, head to Descendia. For more details, please watch the video on how to farm Uriel. As a bonus effect, you can also freeze enemies with Roll, but this time I'll use Follie's ability instead. Above the enemy's health bar, the type of status effect and the number of stacks applied are displayed. When the code icon shows 10, this weapon's damage increase. Use your primary weapon to inflict status effects, and use abilities and rolls to inflict the cold status effect on enemies 10 times. And finally, unleash a heavy melee attack. This sequence is how to deal massive damage with this melee weapon. Now, the melee weapon build is complete. Next, I'd like to show you the secondary weapon build, but I'll skip it because I'm using the exact same Kitgun as in my previous build video. So, for details on the parts and mod loadout, please refer to my previous video. Let's keep reviewing builds. Next up is Panzer Profiler build. I'll give you 10 seconds, so take a screenshot first. Now, let's review how to get mods and their functions. First, place the resourceful retriever in the top left slot. This is essential since it increases the amount of resources you can get. Please watch this video for specific details on how to get it. Next, let's add 2 unique mods for Panzer Profiler. With these two, you can harness the strengths of Panzer Profiler. Then, let's buy Primed Pack Leader from Marketeer. I explained how to buy it in a previous video. Since I'll be using melee weapons more often this time, this mod provides overguard to the Panzer Profiler. Next, let's buy bond mods from Syndicate members in various open worlds. You can buy Tandem Bond from Tesonai on Ostron and Tenacious Bond from Base of Solaris United. Since you need to rank up more than 3rd rank in both syndicates, you should steadily earn points. Tandem Bond boosts Panzer Profiler's firepower with heavy melee attacks, and with Tenacious Bond, you can increase your critical damage. Since the critical chance for melee weapons exceeds 100% in this case, this is essential for increasing firepower. Next, be sure to get Fetch as well. Without it, you won't be able to pick up items, so it's quite inconvenient. Go hunt the hyenas in all valleys to get it. If you complete the bounty missions along the way, you can get Synth and Tech mods. With these two mods, you can expect auto-reload and increased survivability for the Panzer Profiler. Finally, get Hunter Recovery from the bounty mission in the Plains of Eidolon on Earth. This mod should restore Follie's health a bit. And with that, the Panzer Profiler build is complete. Next, let's see the claw build for Panzer Profiler. I'll give you 10 seconds, so take a screenshot first. Now, let's review how to get mods and their functions. First, use Maul and Bite to increase your claws damage and critical damage. You can get them from drag. With this, the critical chance of claws exceeds 100%, so let's use Radon Claws to increase critical damage. You can get Radon Claws by completing quests up to Hex and defeating enemies in Hovania. Next, let's get the Swipe from Hayeka. This mod will increase attack range. Then repeat Animal Conservation and get tags on the Plains of Eidolon on Earth and visit Tesonai in Cetus. You can exchange tags from him for Precision Conditioning, Causa Weak, and Bloodthirst. Precision Conditioning can increase claw damage. Since the primary weapon inflicts status effects this time, it can also increase damage with Causa Weak. Bloodthirst can restore Panzer Profiler's health. Next, let's carry on Animal Conservation on Deimos as well. Just like from Tesonai, you can get the Sepsis Claws from Sam. This adds toxic damage to claws, increasing firepower significantly. Finally, head to all valleys on Venus and rescue animals to collect tags. You should be able to exchange tags for the Prenized Posture stance mod from this. With this, the Panzerwaffe will start attacking enemies aggressively. Now, the claw build is complete. Finally, let's explore the operator's weapon, Arcane, and the Tauron Strike. This time, we'll choose Mudride's Focus, which provides high amp damage. The goal is to revive when defeated using Unar's Last Gasp skill. The amp combination is 647, and I mainly attack using secondary fire. For the operator Arcane, I used Magus Glitch and Magus Lockdown. Both can be bought from Vox Solaris. Magus Glitch negates the penalty when the operator is defeated. Magus Lockdown allows you to bind the Demolist with a Void Dash. Both are very useful, so I highly recommend them. For the amp, I used Virtuous Shadow and Virtuous Strike. Both are available from Quill. Virtuous Shadow increases your critical chance on headshots. Virtuous Strike increases your critical damage. Using two will increase the amp's firepower. Finally, for the Tauron Strike, use these mods to increase the amp's firepower. You can get all of them from Perita Rebellion. You naturally get them while unlocking the Tauron Strike, so it should be easy to secure. Now, the operator build is complete. This makes it easier to revive Follie when she is defeated, so be sure to give it a try. I've created videos on operator skills, Arcane, and the Tauron Strike in the past. If you want more specific details, please review my previous videos. Now the build is complete, so let's review how the abilities work. This time, how you use Follie's second ability is crucial. Pressing the second ability button will summon the item indicated by the icon in the bottom right corner. If you hold the same button, a menu will open, allowing you to select the item you want to summon. Select the one you want to use, and when you release the button, the item will be summoned. Be sure to use this in a safe location, as you are vulnerable while the menu is open. And whenever you open the menu, an item will always be summoned. Once you select an item from the menu, a corresponding icon will appear in the bottom right corner. After the cooldown has finished, press the second ability button to summon the item again. To summon different item, hold the second ability button to open the menu. In this build, I am mainly using Conjure Key, Polarizer Armament, Sermian RPG, Dissolve, Explosive Barrel, and Rogue Surge. With a few exceptions, these abilities take time to recharge, so make sure to master how to use them. First, when the Disruption mission round begins, get close to the Conjure and summon the Conjure Key. A random colored Conjure Key should be summoned. If you summon it at the beginning of the round, you can surely activate one Conjure. After defeating an enemy, obtaining a key, and using it, there is a chance that a key of the same color will appear. It's a bit of waste, so I recommend using this ability right after the round starts. Please note that if you activate it from too far away, the key may disappear before it reaches the Conjure. Also, the key created by this ability will disappear if you touch the nullifier. Be careful not to touch the nullifier. In other words, when using the Conjure key, use it at the start of the round. Use it near the Conjure. Avoid touching the nullifier. You need to keep these 3 points in mind. Next, use the Polarizer Armament. This allows you to easily split the cold status effect, which you can slow down Demolist and boost the damage of your melee weapons. When an acolyte appears, use the Sermian RPG. You can summon the RPG, a powerful weapon. Once summoned, you can use it by picking it up with the access button. If mastered, you can destroy an acolyte in a single hit, but use with caution. There are different types of acolytes, and pay special attention to Malice, Mania, and Violence. Malice has abilities similar to Mag and can reflect RPG damage. Be sure to roll frequently to avoid self-destruction. The Mania nullifies shooting weapons, so you must defeat them with melee weapon. Also, Violence will disrupt your abilities, so if it appears, keep your distance and try to relaunch your abilities. Additionally, RPG can't be used until you pick them up, so it's crucial to stay calm and use them wisely. After that, summon Dissolve and Explosive Barrels as needed, and eliminate the remaining enemies. The Dissolve attacks enemies automatically, while the Explosive Barrel must be detonated manually. Rogue Surge has a cooldown, but if you summon it and access it, you receive a random buff. If you have enough energy, use them. Once you get used to the second ability, let's move on to the others. The first ability allows you to teleport to a targeted location. Additionally, it grants you a short invincibility time and removes all status effects on you. Use this when you are in a pinch, when you want to use your second ability in a safe spot, or when you want to negate drawbacks triggered by Tennokai. Next, let's use a third ability. This time, instead of using Follie's own ability, I installed Mirage's ability instead. If you keep this active, you'll always receive 75% damage reduction, so make sure not to forget it. Holding down the bottom will increase your firepower, but please be careful, as you may be defeated. As for the fourth ability, use it when you are in a pinch with too many enemies. However, you can still stop enemies by using the Corruoted armament instead, so it probably won't come up that often. After getting a basic idea of how to use abilities, let's see how to use them in practice. First, when the disruption mission round begins, approach the conduit. Next, press and hold the second ability button to deploy the conduit key. One of 4 keys will appear. Pick it up and deliver it to the conduit while staying alert for the Nightwave. Once you have activated the conduit, listen carefully for the demo list. If the direction is right, you see a red icon. To avoid being defeated by demo list later on, activate your third ability now. Also activate Corruoted armament in advance. When you get close to demo list, deploy the Corruoted armament again to freeze it. At the same time, unleash Enkaus secondary fire to slow down the demo list even further. Next, use Enkaus to inflict a variety of status effects on demo list. Once demo list is affected by multiple status effects and the number on the code icon reaches 10, it is ready. Switch to a melee weapon using the melee button, then finish them off with a heavy melee attack. This should allow you to defeat demo list without getting too close. In Lure, you may encounter a demo list with a shield, so aim for the legs and unleash a heavy melee attack. After that, if you use Enkaus secondary fire to spray ink on other enemies, you should be able to secure energy and fight steadily. Once you have enough energy, you can use items like the Dissolve, Explosive Barrel, and Rogue Surge to defeat other enemies and search for the key. Of course, if there are an enemy with an overguard, you can steal it with Kitgun. Then, when the screen flickers, summon the Serbian RPG and get ready for the Acolyte. If you succeed, you can take them down in one shot. When Mania appears, defeat him with melee weapons. At the end of the round, consider keeping the conduit key. If you are lucky enough to draw 2 keys of the same color, pick up one in Warframe, switch to operator mode, then pick up the other key and activate it. You won't be able to use your primary weapon until the next round, but you should be able to handle it with your secondary weapon and melee weapon. When the next round starts, try deploying the conduit key. It's lucky if a key of different color appears than the one your Warframe is holding. Use the operator to pick up and activate the conduit key you created with your ability, just as you did earlier. After defeating demo list using your secondary weapon and melee, you can use the remaining conduit key. If everything goes smoothly like this, you'll be able to activate the 2 conduits quickly, allowing you to progress the disruption mission much faster. If you follow these steps, you should be able to keep fighting for 20 rounds in the disruption mission of the Steel Pass. When you use the operator to revive yourself after being defeated, you'll be able to keep fighting longer. This is an overview of Follie's build and how to utilize her in the disruption mission. Thank you very much for watching. I've really felt Follie is quite a challenging Warframe. As for future Warframes, I plan to keep making videos about them. If you want more, please subscribe to my channel. See you next time. Bye.